from JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, April the 20th, 2017. U.S. President Donald Trump will host Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in Washington on May the 3rd, a date which we reported to you about earlier, but yesterday the White House made the official announcement about the visit. Spokesman Sean Spicer spoke to reporters about the Trump-Abbas meet, saying they will use the visit to reaffirm the commitment of both the United States and Palestinian leadership to pursuing and ultimately concluding a conflict-ending settlement between the Palestinians and Israel. And U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis arrived in Israel today. Mattis will meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tomorrow morning for a sit-down, which, according to the Prime Minister's office, will focus on regional challenges, including Iran and its proxy terrorist forces in Lebanon and Syria. Mattis will also meet during his two-day stay in the country with Israeli President Reuven Rivlin and Israeli Defense Chief Avigdor Lieberman. Two Palestinian sisters from Gaza who were trying to enter Israel were detained for questioning yesterday after they were found to be carrying dangerous material. Israeli authorities intercepted the two during a security check at the Erez crossing. The sisters have a permit to enter Israel for cancer treatment for one of them. IDF forces, though, discovered tubes labeled medical supplies in their possession, which actually contained material used to make explosives. It was unclear if the sisters knew about the contents. Israel security agency, the Shin Bet, said it appeared that the explosives were sent by terror group Hamas to be used in a terrorist attack on Israeli targets in the near future. They said the incident attests to the ongoing efforts by terrorist organizations based in the Gaza Strip, especially Hamas, to exploit Israel's humanitarian initiatives and the medical assistance that it provides to residents of the Gaza Strip in order to perpetrate attacks in Israel. And police in Israel were said to be ready to file charges today against the Israeli teen suspected in the majority of phoned-in bomb threats against Jewish institutions here in the U.S. The 18-year-old suspect was brought to the Rishon LeZion Magistrates Court today. He is expected to be indicted for extortion by threats, publishing false information that causes public fear and panic, conspiring to commit a crime, computer offenses, and money laundering offenses. The young man's identity is still being held under a gag order. We do know, though, that as we have reported to you, he holds U.S. citizenship. And according to Ynet, the teen was born in Israel, then lived in California until the age of 6 when his family went back to Israel. His family and attorneys maintain that a brain tumor is to blame for the teen's criminal acts. The United Nations Security Council met today to discuss the Middle East, in particular the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, commented on social media during the discussion, which included the Palestinian representative to the UN praising the hunger strike that is currently taking place among Palestinian security prisoners in Israel, most of whom are convicted terrorists, like the leader of the strike, Marwan Barghouti, who is serving multiple life sentences for several counts of murder in Israel. Danon wrote on Twitter that glorifying terrorists like Barghouti not only distances us from peace, but dishonors the memories of the innocent victims. Danon also addressed the forum, as did U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, who officiated over the discussion.
Peace will only come from direct negotiations, not from one-sided Security Council meetings and one-sided resolutions. If we are speaking honestly about conflict in the Middle East, we need to start with the chief culprit, Iran and its partner militia, Hezbollah.
Warsaw's Jewish community marked the 74th anniversary of the start of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising yesterday. The Associated Press reports that community members gathered to carry out a traditional Jewish ritual on the occasion, burying fragments of old and damaged Torah scrolls from before the war inside 2 large clay jars at the city's Jewish cemetery. Poland's chief rabbi, Michael Shudrich, said the ceremony was about remembering that for us the Torah scroll is so important, is so holy, that when it's no longer usable, we bury it as if it was a human being. Some 7,000 Jews died in the month-long uprising, which began on April the 19th of 1943, and more than 50,000 were deported from the Ghetto to the Treblinka death camp. The IDF announced today that 3 more stealth fighter jets will arrive in Israel from the United States this Sunday, joining the 2 that were welcomed in Israel back in December. The F-35 Joint Strike Fighter, known as the Adir in Israel, are part of the military cooperation between Israel and the U.S. Israel's Air Force released video today of the state-of-the-art jets holding an aerial refueling maneuver. The Adirs will be among the jets used in the traditional flyover conducted by the Israel Air Force this coming Independence Day on May the 2nd. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, April the 20th. At 7:30, it's Talmud study with Rabbi Mordechai Becker. At 8, remarks from Hartman Institute's Yehuda Kurtzer at the Limud Conference. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with performer Avi Hoffman on L'chaim. And at 10, a look at the art of Norman Gorbati. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, Mark Golub speaks with journalist Bret Stephens, who is moving from the Wall Street Journal to the New York Times. Stephens talks about the recent U.S. missile strike on Syria, the nuclear threat posed by North Korea and Iran, and Israeli settlement policy and criticism of Israel. That's on tonight's In the News. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, April the 20th, 2017. I'm Teisha Bader.